Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 999. 999. December the 29th, Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alrighty, well, it's we are going to be spending quite a bit of time toward the end of the video determining who is the winner of the Dumbass of the Year. Boy, we had a lot of people vote, a lot of people casting a lot of votes. I think you'd be very surprised at how that all turned out. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and hit some of the top news stories of the last day or so. So I don't know how many of you saw Rudy Giuliani on Fox yesterday, but he seems to be making the case, and you know how Giuliani is. Sometimes he talks around things a little bit, but he seems to be trying to make the case that there may be the possibility of, I don't know if it's him or some group of people he's working with, but there may be an effort to file a lawsuit against Madam Botox, Nancy Pelosi, on behalf of the taxpayers for the money that she has cost us in the fake impeachment hearings. And apparently there's something, and I don't know if it's a law, but it's like a guideline that if you're within 12 months of an election, you would not move for impeachment unless it is of dire necessity, that there's some crisis. The president's incapacitated. He's been found actually guilty of committing a statutory crime as defined under some law in the U.S. Code. But none of that is true. It's simply a political exercise, and it's within 12 months of an election. And apparently, I don't think it's a law. I think it's more of a guideline or a rule for how to handle impeachment. And I think based on this, they may be trying to get together and file a fraud lawsuit against Nancy Pelosi, Madam Botox, on behalf of the taxpayers to try to recoup the money that has been wasted on the fake impeachment. So, again, I mean, Giuliani is an interesting character. He's pretty smart. He's got a lot of things going. I don't know how much weight I would put into this, but it would certainly be a good counter to a political counter. I mean, I see this as a political exercise. I mean, it could be a legal issue or what have you. Go after Pelosi for filing and getting involved in a fraudulent impeachment by the fact that she's not following a rule or a guideline that you're within 12 months of an election. I mean, I see that as more of probably it's not a criminal matter. It's not I don't even know how serious of a legal matter it is, but it would certainly be a good political tool to use to counter Madam Botox, particularly because she's holding up the articles. And she was making the case, and the reason why they had to rush it through before Christmas, we just could not wait. It's dangerous to have Trump in office. We have to get him impeached and removed from office. Then she gets the impeachment vote, totally no Republicans supporting it whatsoever. In fact, a couple of Democrats not supporting it. And then, once she gets to that point, she doesn't send over the articles and, in fact, starts talking about, well, we're waiting for like more evidence to come in, that we may have to add some articles to the impeachment, as if she wants to drag it out, as if they're waiting for information that they can use to add some more things to the articles of impeachment. So, but if they had anything really solid, that would have been that would have been their leadoff. That would have been in the original articles. That would have been the first thing they would have gone after, because the other two things they have are simply ridiculous. So, one is just a joke. I mean, obstructing Congress because he is going through the normal process of going through the courts to see, how the courts will rule on what information or witnesses he has to provide or whatever. He's following the normal process, and the Democrats believe that's obstruction of Congress, when in fact it's not. Okay, so that's a joke. That would go nowhere. It will be thrown out immediately in the Senate. That will be thrown out immediately in the Senate. Just as soon as they bring it up and have a very short debate on it, it will be immediately blown up, and it'll be gone. And then the abuse of power, and they're making the abuse of power charge based on, again, going back to saying, well, he was trying to use leveraging the United States government to get a foreign government to interfere or get involved in an election, digging up dirt on Biden to help him in 2020 or something. And this is, of course, absurd as well. Neither of these two things are going to fly. They'll both. That's why I say this thing, it'll be a joke. It'll be over in a hurry in the Senate. So neither of these two things are, have any merit to them. So that may be why she's waiting for something, anything. Maybe they're trying to dig something up. I don't know what it is, but either way, at this point, it's already been a fairly epic fail. And I think that once they come back from Christmas break on the 6th or the 7th, whichever it is, I think there'll be a lot of pressure on Madame Botox to come off them articles quickly, because she's even taking a lot of heat. In the left-wing media is even pundits are coming on saying that they really don't understand what her tactic or her strategy is here. They don't really understand it. They don't think it's good. So there's really, it's hard to find anyone who thinks this is a good play on Pelosi's part. So we'll just have to see what's going on here. But I think it would be perfectly a good idea for the Republicans to challenge Madame Botox on this guideline or this rule that you're within 12 months of election, you don't impeach unless it's absolutely, positively necessary. And of course, we know it's not. The whole thing's a hoax. So, yeah, I think that they should run that and see how they deal with it. Can't hurt. We also now have left-wing pundits on CNN, MSNBC, and other places now admitting that Trump is gaining with Democrats. So you have these left-wing media consultants who are being paid to attend these Trump rallies. And they are understanding that what they're doing at the Trump rallies, Brad Parscale, they get people to sign up, I guess, for, to get on a mailing list or something. They get to identify them, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or nothing, and ask them about who they voted for, when they voted last, and all these sorts of questions. This information, of course, is being made public. So you have these media analysts who report for the left-wing fake news media outlets, and now you're seeing them show up on MSNBC and CNN and other places telling these fake news hosts on these left-wing media outlets that, in fact, they are seeing numbers at these Trump rallies for Democrats who are attending these Trump rallies in the percentages of around 20, 24%. At the last rally, 20%. At the previous rally. So all these numbers are showing, that, somewhere between 15 and 25% of these Trump rallies are being attended by Democrats. And they're also finding and seeing that there's an awful lot of minority, which we would be speaking primarily, I guess, of black and Latino voters, are also attending these rallies, are also talking about voting for Trump. And of course, we've seen the 4 recent polls that came out in the last couple of weeks showing Trump with about 30% approval with black voters. And that is the kiss of death to the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party could not lose 30% of minority voters to the Republican Party and still be a viable national party. So you can see that this is freaking out the left wing. And it's you can tell that when they're being told this, their faces, they just get stone-faced. They really don't even know how to respond to it. And I don't think they realize that they are a big reason why. They really are. They're a big reason why. And at some point, they'll be able to come to terms with this, but by that time, it will be too late. But I think it's starting, the reality is setting in that all their efforts are failing miserably, and all they're doing is pushing people into Trump's corner. Because no matter who you are, nobody likes seeing the president just taking a political beatdown, and when everyone knows it's purely political. We saw this, I remember this quite well, I lived through it in the Clinton situation, where, had the Republicans just let the special prosecutor do his thing, they would have had their hearings, and they would have done a lot less of jumping on the bandwagon, they probably would have come out of that much better, and Clinton would have come out much worse. But because it was week after week after week of day after day of Republicans getting on air and doing the beatdown and the whole 9 yards, people begin to feel sorry for Clinton. And that was reflected, of course, in the results. And I think you're starting to see the same thing. And remember, America likes underdogs. And so Trump, as odd as it sounds, is starting to look an awful lot like an underdog. And he's looking like, a guy who's just getting beat up politically, and it's all about politics. And I think a lot of people, not your hard left Democrats, but a lot of people sort of straight down the middle, independents, or maybe people don't even associate with any party, are starting to feel that way. And this will continue through the 2020 election, because the Democrats, these are cats who will not change their stripes or spots. They can't. This is who they are. They can't do anything different. They don't know how to do anything different. This is all they know how to do, is lash out. They're angry. They lost the election in 2016. They can't accept it. And especially losing to Trump, it just makes it all that much worse. And this is the only reaction they have. This is just a spontaneous reaction, and they really don't have any other way to express themselves. And that's why it will continue, and that's why Trump will continue to gain amongst minority voters, and why he will win in a huge electoral college landslide in 2020. Well, we have Rachel Maddow. Of course, she was sued by One American News Network when she made the statement that they were being paid by the Russians to run Russian propaganda. Of course, that resulted in a defamation suit. And the defense made by Maddow and MSNBC in court was that Madcow's statements on air are not fact. The things that she says on her show are not to be taken as fact, only opinion. But if you go back and look at the statement she made, it sounds like she was making a factual statement. She words it that way. So what they need to do over there at MSNBC, and for Rachel Maddow and probably all of the shows on MSNBC, is they need to run a disclaimer before the show comes on that what you're about to witness is not based on fact, only opinion. I think that the FCC needs to get involved, and there needs to be some sort of a disclaimer for all media outlets who are doing opinion and not news. And in fact, I think that they need to do even more than that. It's time to clean it up, and I hope that sometime, as Trump is draining the swamp, I hope he eventually gets around to this part of it, and that we get some sort of FEC action to try to clean up the mess that is the American media. We had Guy Lewis. Of course, many of you have seen him on quite a few different Fox programs. He's a private investigator, a former cop, I believe. And he is saying that John Durham has met already with Gina Haspel, and that she is cooperating. And he's also saying that John Durham is going to lower the boom on the criminal conspirators, and there will be many indictments. As you know, I've predicted 2 to 3 dozen. I think I'm probably underestimating. I'm thinking there will probably be more like maybe 4 or 5 dozen, 50 to 60 people now. I'm thinking that it's going to be more. I should sit down and make a list someday and just see how many names I come up with. Maura used to have a list, the swamp list, and I would say, I forget how many names were on that list before, she ran out of, probably ran out of space, ran out of disk space on her computer. But anyway, it's a long list, and there's, when you sit down and look at all the people involved, you can easily see how it's very easy how 50 people or more could be indicted by Durham. So, again, he's saying that Guy Lewis is saying that Durham has already met with Haspel. We can assume he's probably not just going to meet with her once, and apparently he has already told her in this meeting that he wants these communications from Brennan. And he will get them, by the way. she doesn't have anything to say about it, unless she tries to hide something, in which case, if she gets caught, that's a even bigger problem. I have to assume that Durham knows, because he was over in London, that she was the section chief over there when all this was going down. And I would suspect that in his discussion with her, that that certainly came up. And he probably wanted to know what she knew and when she knew it. They say that Durham leaves no stone unturned. Well, that's a stone you definitely got to turn over, right? Well, now we have Hiawatha out on the campaign trail begging for money. This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious to me, because you really can't stay in the game without taking some big money contributions when you're running for president, unless you can self-fund like Bloomberg or Trump. And Elizabeth Warren isn't there, okay? She's wealthy. She's worth about $8 or $10 million, but she's not going to use a penny of her money to run for president. In fact, she's looking to make money on the deal. That's why she's out begging for money. She was hoping to probably pocket $10 million on this deal. She knows she's not going to win the nomination, but she's hoping to make a few bucks. Just like Bernie, this is his retirement program. So she also wants to build her donor list. So like Bernie, she can sell her donor list for another $10 million. So these are money-making projects for these fake Democrats. And so she really hurt herself greatly, because she spent the last week or so beating up on Buttigieg for taking big money donations. Of course, he called her out on it and blistered her pretty well, but now she's stuck, because now the money is not coming in, and she can't really go to the big money people because she just spent a week hammering Buttigieg over it. So she's kind of stuck. She has to beg now for donations from small donors. And that's what she's doing in her latest email out to the people who've donated to her. She's sending them a letter, a campaign letter, fundraising letter, asking them to donate again. And, she'll probably get a little bump, but it's not going to save her. And ultimately, this could be her undoing. It will be hilarious. Sort of hung with her own petard, you might say. So, yeah, that's pretty funny. Hiawatha begging for money from her small donors because she can't go to the bigs anymore. She shut that door on herself. Talk about a faceplant, a self-own. We also have Natasha Bertrand back out on MSNBC. And she is, of course, still complaining about Durham investigating Brennan and company. But she also drops another thing that I hadn't heard before, which is that she said that Durham, while he was in the UK, he did meet with Terrence Dudley. Now, if you remember, Terrence Dudley, his name pops up in Papagalopoulos' story, where he talks about the fact that these two guys, one of them, Terrence Dudley, works for the DIA. And he approached Papagalopoulos several times while he was in London. And so we're learning that Durham met with Terrence Dudley also when he was over in the UK. And, she's doing this name dropping, and you're wondering kind of why she's doing it. It's almost like she's like sending a message to Haspel and Dudley and any other CIA people. You better not talk to Durham. You better not cooperate with Durham. It's almost like she's calling some of these people out to remind them that the company wouldn't like it very much if they talk. Of course, the company is no longer run by Mr. Potato Head, and that's the difference. So she continues to be just a disinformation artist, and she's not very good at it, and she's really too young to know much about anything, really. So she's probably some young, rich Ivy League kid, got out of college, went right to work for the CIA. She's kind of cute, so she probably worked her way up, and my guess is she was making coffee or tea for Mr. Potato Head every day, and that's probably her deal. So anyway, in the context of this conversation with this crazy blonde woman host on MSNBC, there was a Freudian slip by the crazy blonde woman host on MSNBC. She's interviewing Bertram, and she says, she's talking about the fact that, yeah, this isn't good, having Durham out there interviewing or going after, criminally investigating the CIA and the head of the CIA. This is bad, this is bad for the intelligence world or whatever. And that's kind of the role that they're on. And as she's having this conversation, this bimbo on MSNBC says, has a Freudian slip, and she's kind of like name dropping, and then she says the phrase, yeah, and they're going after people like, a CIA analyst like Joseph Mifsud and blah, blah, blah. And Bertrand did not blink at all. She did not even take a breath after hearing that. She responded to it and just almost like either A, she did not hear what the bimbo host said, describing Mifsud as a CIA analyst, and she just let it go. She didn't hear it, or she did hear it, and she purposely just didn't respond to it. It's kind of funny. It's obviously a Freudian slip. No one at this point has accused Mifsud of being a CIA analyst, but in this conversation, this bimbo at MSNBC actually does say, yeah, going after people like this guy, and of course this Mifsud, this guy who was a CIA analyst. It was just kind of funny, and everybody, if you read the comment section, everybody caught it. But Natasha Bertrand obviously didn't catch it, or she pretended not to. So it's pretty funny. She doesn't want to talk about Mifsud. That's clear. Yes, there's going to be a lot of cheating going on by the Democrats in the 2020 elections. We know a few people brought up in the comment section about how there's going to be some more seats. The Democrats are going to pick up some more seats because of the census. But keep in mind, something that's been going on that a lot of people are not talking about is that the Trump administration put together this sort of task force to clean up the voter rolls. And there has already been more than 500,000, more than 500,000 people removed from the voter rolls. And it just happened, another like 95,000 were just removed from the rolls in Georgia. Just happened yesterday. And this will continue all the way through 2020. So while they may be picking up some cheap seats from the census, a lot of people who shouldn't be on the voter rolls are being purged from the voter registration. The Democrats are now out claiming responsibility, taking credit for the USMCA. Well, you have to be a real dumbass to believe that. Everybody knows that was a Trump deal. We have Judicial Watch suing the DOJ and the FBI for all the emails of a list of about, it looks like to me, about 15, 16 people. Strzok, Page, Comey, Lynch, whole 9 yards. Judicial Watch wants all their emails from fall of 2015 up to, I think it's like January of 2017. So, yeah, we'll see how much luck they have with that. There's a possibility now where we may be seeing more countries want to exit the EU, and the very first one I would look at very closely would be Hungary. And there's 4 countries that were part of the old Czech Republic. Hungary is one of them. There's 3 others. If one leaves, they likely all 4. So you could get 4 countries, more countries, leaving the EU. We'll keep watching that as Viktor Orban is about to make a speech tomorrow, or Monday. He's going to make a speech where he's going to, I think, begin to make the case for why they should leave the EU. And, of course, we have the newest left-wing talking points regarding Durham. Of course, now they're going after Durham and Barr because they know what's coming for them. And so they obviously now are all on the same sheet of music. They've got a new talking point in the fake news media. And the new talking point is that Durham is chasing conspiracies. Yes, he is chasing a conspiracy, a criminal conspiracy. And it involves a lot of criminal conspirators, including many in the media. So yes, they're actually correct on this MSM talking point. Durham is chasing conspiracies, criminal-type conspiracies. And he's going to get his men and women. You just watch. Now, let's get to Dumbass of the Week. We have to go fast. A lot of, probably, I don't know if I've ever seen this many contributions. Of course, we're doing the Dumbass of the Year for 2019. They could be very surprised how this turns out. So let's go through them quickly. Giovanni Angelo, he's going to go with Mr. Potato Head, AOC, Schiff and Omar. Mrs. Miggins is going to go with the Rotten Reverend Clinton. Yes, I have a soft spot in my heart for any time the Rotten Reverend Clinton shows up in a vote for Dumbass of the Week, or the year, or the decade. David Sill, the Rotten Reverend Clinton. Friend in Liberty, Brennan, Madame Botox, and AOC. Madeline, or is it Madeline? Madeleine. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I hope it's Madeline. FBI and CIA. Good choices. Jean is going to go with Madame Botox. Philly James is going to go with Governor Blackface. Barisma Joe, and anyone supporting socialism. Bean Juice is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Madame Botox, and AOC. Ginger Lee is going to go with Madame Botox, the Bug-Eyed Fool, Omar, and AOC. Mona Lisa is going to go with the Democrats, the mainstream media, and the Obamas. T.W. Wintex is going to go with Obama. Stacey Bradley is going to go with Obama, the Rotten Reverend, and Mr. Potato Head. Gavin Campbell, the Bug-Eyed Fool, who he describes as the Gimp. I know why. He's referring to Kevin Spacey in the movie The Usual Suspects, I do believe. Very nice, Gavin. Very nice. Net, Comey, Brennan, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. S.W. Comer is going to go with Pelosi and the Democratic National Committee. William Bigliani, Quid Pro Quo Joe. Regina is going to go with Madame Botox and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Stage Door Johnny is going to go with Mr. Potato Head, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and Madame Botox. Gordon, he's got a lot of people he wants to be Dumbass of the Year. Madame Botox, the Dishonorable James Comey, the Bug-Eyed Fool, Andy McCabe, Mr. Potato Head, the Idiot Clapper, AOC, and the mainstream media. Well, I pretty much say Gordon, I would describe that as the swamp. Freddie Schaffer is going to go with the mainstream media, Mr. Potato Head, and the Dishonorable James Comey. Leslie will go with the Rotten Reverend Clinton, Obama, Mr. Potato Head, and the mainstream media. Jeanette Bateman is going to go with Madame Botox, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and the mainstream media. Rotax will go with Schiff, and Schiff. Napoleon Smith will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, George Soros, and Madame Botox. David Ellison is going to go with the Madame Botox, the Bug-Eyed Fool, the Penguin, Senator Magoo, the late Senator Magoo, Uncle Bob the Executioner, and Chuck the Cuck. Joe Booty is going to go with the mainstream media. Joey D is going to go with the fake news / Hank Johnson, the Mr. Potato Head, the Dishonorable James Comey, the Squad, Madame Botox, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Again, that's a long list. Zero Tolerance is going to go with Madame Botox. Jack Kennedy is going to go with the fake news. David Cummings is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool. Linda Martin, Obama, the Rotten Reverend, and Madame Botox. Peter James will go with AOC, Madame Botox, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Let's see. Chevy Van will go with the Dishonorable James Comey, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and the Rotten Reverend Clinton. Jamie Anzavino will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Madame Botox, the Dishonorable James Comey, and Clinton / Brennan. I'm sure that was a team effort. Youngblood will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Madame Botox, and the mainstream media. Jenny Tweets. She will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Madame Botox, and Mr. Potato Head. Montag Muller is going to go with Nordstrom, and I do believe we're talking about Governor, the Governor Blackface, I think is who they're talking about there. I think we get confused on his name. I think it's Northam, but some people type in Nordstrom, but I think it's Northam. But it doesn't matter. It's Governor Blackface to me. So Montag is going to go with Governor Blackface, I do believe, Quid Pro Quo Joe, and Madam Botox. Walker on the Hill is going to go with the mainstream media. John Anderson is going to go with Madam Botox, which he describes, again, as Pelosi galore. Pelosi galore. That's a good one. That's a good one. I almost want to use that myself. It's so good. Pelosi galore. AOC and Biden. Let's see. Peaches McBee is going to go with FBI, the FBI, and Madam Botox. William Duke is going to go with the Rotten Reverend Clinton, Mr. Potato Head, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Zara Drew is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Madam Botox, and Mr. Potato Head. Gregory Woolery will go with the Dishonorable James Comey, Mr. Potato Head, and the idiot, the unwitting idiot, Clapper. Miss Tree, all in for AOC. Straight Arrow, all in for Mad Cow. Let's see, Mystic Meadows, who posted up two different sets of votes here. Let's see, I put them all together. It looks like we have Madam Piglousy. Madam Piglousy, I like that a lot. The DNC, the Bug-Eyed Fool, Quid Pro Quo Joe, and the Crooked Clintons. Carl Peters is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Madam Botox, and the Penguin. Joe Mack is going to go with Madam Botox. PD Selling will go with Obama. Mike G is going to go with the Democrats, which I call the Demo-Commies, actually, in the House. American Pie will go with AOC, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and Madam Botox. Lee is going to go with Obama Z. Obama Z, meaning the last in line, I hope. He's the last in line. Yes. Let's see. Gidget is going to go with the Democratic Party, the FBI, and Mad Cow. Ricky Ricardo is going to go with the Demo-Commies. IPA. He listed so much there, I don't have time to even get it all in. I'll just say IPA went for the swamp. Cards went for the big money behind the Demo-Commie Party. That's a very good thought. Gitmo went with Mad Cow, Stacey Abrams, and Barbara Murkowski. Please, Alaska, get rid of that woman. Thank you. Surreal went with anyone who thinks that the Rotten Reverend Clinton should be president. Yes, I'll agree with that. Patrick C. went with Botox. Susan Lowell is going to go with Governor Blackface, Quid Pro Quo Joe, and Madam Botox. Lori Holt is going to go with Schiff, Pelosi, and the Rotten Reverend Clinton. Douglas is going to go with Avenatti, Mad Cow, and Greta. Oh boy, the Rug Remembrance Guy, those who didn't watch TowerGate. Yes, indeed, Rug Remembrance Guy, those who did not watch TowerGate. Yes, because they're in for a very big shock here in a few months. We'll all be prepared for it, and we will celebrate. Others will have heart attacks. They should have watched TowerGate. Let's see, Grim Beacon Fire is going to go with Madam Botox, and Keith Fellows. Keith Fellows will go with Hillary, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and I can't tell who I wrote that down. I can't tell. I'm sorry. Okay, but I'm sure I got your vote right. Let's see. Okay, so the winner of the Dumbass of the Year for 2019, the TowerGate Dumbass of the Year for 2019 is a tie. Yes, that's right. It's a tie. Unbelievable. We have a tie, receiving 24 votes, total votes. Pelosi and the Bug-Eyed Fool, Adam Schiff, both receiving 24 votes each for a tie. Number 2 would be Mr. Potato Head John Brennan with 13 votes, and coming in third, which was my pick, the fake news, the mainstream media, receiving 12 votes. That was my choice, the fake news. So there we go. Pelosi, Schiff, tie for Dumbass of the Year. Brennan in second place. The fake news, mainstream media, coming in honorable mention. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See ya. Bye.